It was June 10th, 2015. Compelled by a desire to better understand the refugee crisis around the world, I decided to take a week off from my job as CEO of Pixelspoke, a company focused on websites for credit unions and forward-thinking businesses, to go down to South Texas and volunteer for a week at a refugee prison. Angelina, a petite and graceful Guatemalan woman in a bright pink t-shirt, sat across from me at the table, filling out a questionnaire that I'd given her. Her 8-year-old daughter Glendy's hid behind the chair, occasionally poking her head out and smiling at me shyly. Angelina looked at me and said, "No puede pasar a ella lo que había pasado a mí." What happened to me cannot happen to her. 2 months prior, Angelina had started to receive threatening phone calls from drug gangs in Guatemala, saying that they would abduct and do terrible things to her daughter if she did not pay a bribe known as a war tax. And these are no idle threats. Guatemala has one of the highest murder rates in the world. And the drug cartels there have created a virtual state within a state where neither the police nor the government can protect anyone. After a neighbor's daughter had turned up murdered 2 weeks later following similar threats, Angelina had fled in the middle of the night, leaving behind everything she owned and beginning the 1,500-mile journey to the United States on foot. I still remember this feeling of incredible awe when I contemplated a mother's love and commitment for her daughter to do whatever it would take to make her safe. And I think for all of you in the audience, for those of you who have children, what would you do to protect them from similar violence? And if you don't have children, what would your parents have done for you? And I remember these were the questions going through my head as I tried to help her navigate the legal system so that she wouldn't be deported back to Guatemala where the gangs were still threatening to murder her. Angelina was a refugee, which literally means someone who seeks refuge. Fast forward 5 days, and I was on a plane flight back to Portland, and I was trying to make sense of all these stories that I had heard. And it was only as I started to think about all of you here, all of my friends back in Portland, and my business and our businesses, that I realized there was a story within the story. I hadn't just been volunteering at a prison, I'd been volunteering at a business. And it was a business with sales targets, strategic objectives, and employees of the month. And it was all based on the victimization of its customers. Everything that I've come to love about business in the last 13 years, the camaraderie that you get as a team when you accomplish something you didn't think could be done, the sense of purpose from a well-thought-out vision and a good strategic plan to get there, and sometimes just those little day-to-day moments that we have from sharing our lives together, was turned upside down. The more women and children incarcerated, the higher the revenues. The more inadequate the medical care, the higher the profits. And all this was being done on a contract so overpriced that we could have booked all these women and their children in a hotel in downtown San Francisco and spent less money. And I remember this visceral sense of anger and disgust when I thought about a business that could operate this way. And I thought back to my high school economics teacher, and I wondered, was he really right when he said the only purpose of a business is to create a profit? Do we really not have to concern ourselves with questions of right and wrong because the world will just figure itself out? So a lot of you may be wondering, what does this have to do with me? I'm assuming none of you make money off of incarcerating women and children. You sell coffee, or you sell software, or you sell real estate. And I think in a place like Portland, we can all agree the business shouldn't be about the victimization of its customers. But I think we have an opportunity to do more. I think we have a chance to go back to our original purpose in business, which is to create more opportunities for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for our communities. And I've learned a lot about this path over the last 2 years from an amazing group of companies that I'm a part of called B Corporations. And it's a group with a really simple premise. You can measure your company's impact on the environment, on your community, and on your workers, and you can improve it. And you can do this in the same way that you measure and improve your finances. And it's built around a really intriguing question. If we choose to measure and improve our impact, can we actually be more successful as companies than we would otherwise? Over the last 2 years, we've had record revenue growth and profitability. And we've managed to also make over 2,000 loans to entrepreneurs around the world through kiva.org. We've donated hundreds of hours to helping immigrants and other vulnerable populations get access to fair financial tools. And we've helped build a prototype, which is an alternative to predatory payday loans. So I think for the skeptics out there, and my high school economics teacher wondering, How does this actually work? I'm going to give you 3 things to think about. First, if you've been in one of these many conversations in business about how do I engage millennials, how do I get them to be more productive, how do I make them happy, choosing to measure and improve your impact is basically a cheat sheet for what millennials and indeed all workers want, a greater sense of purpose and connection. Second, I think today, where I see this sense of anxiety and uncertainty everywhere I go in the US, more than ever people want to vote with their dollars, and they want to vote with their dollars at a company that shares their belief and shares their values. And lastly, I think there's a selfish motive. If I told you all that I had a test that you could take in 15 minutes and it would tell you how good you were as a person, wouldn't you at least be a little curious? And wouldn't you wonder if you would actually become a better person from having that knowledge? I'd like to close with a photo of something that's very important to me personally. It's not my laptop. I do spend a lot of time with that and it matters to me. It's the star right there. That's a sticker that Angelina's daughter gave to me as I was interviewing her. And I remember it struck me at that moment as this symbol of our common humanity, that even in jail, this little girl would choose to give me something. And I look at it every morning as a reminder of what really matters in this world, and a reminder to give as generously as that 8-year-old girl. I hope that you'll choose to join me on this journey of measuring your impact and improving your impact and amplifying your success. To learn more, you can go to pixelspoke.com/good. Thank you.